Well, I was having a smashing Sunday until about 7:30. It's not as good now. Just two defeats against Ross County for Neil Lennon this season now, which is quite an achievement. He's done it against two different managers. At this stage, John, I'm out of questions.
Yeah, pretty dismal. Just before tonight, Hamish, Ross County, I think, had won 10 points from their last 39 available. So they'd won those 10 points since the last time we played them at the end of November. That's all they'd managed. And then we come along and give them another gift. And again, it's an embarrassing result. They're the team rooted at the bottom of the table for a reason, or they were going into the night. They're not anymore. And fair play to them for the win. You know, you've got to say that they came, or they allowed us to visit and pretty much had their tactics. You know, tried to sit in, play in the counter attack, and then ultimately did what John Hughes wanted. Said what you wanted to do before the match, and that was score from a set piece. He said that was probably our Achilles heel, and again that came to be. So they executed their game plan pretty much to the letter. Celtic left wanting again.
The Sky commentary seemed to have this feeling that it was a huge turn up for the books, and maybe in some element it was. But I don't think many Celtic supporters are particularly surprised with how this evening played out. I certainly wasn't surprised when that header flew into the back of the net during the second half. I saw it coming because the performance up to that point had just been what we've seen for the last wee while. And yes, we've gone on a winning run in the last month or so. But we both said, along with Jackie, that we felt a result like this was on the horizon. We felt like we were still going to come a cropper in one of these games. And for me, if Neil Lennon stays in charge, which I think he will, there's no question over that. You know, we're due another one of these results in the weeks to come. The goal for me, as disappointing as it was to lose another set piece goal and to lose the match, the result isn't even the worst thing for me tonight. It's just the missed opportunity that we've had at the end of this season. We could have been building towards next season with a new manager in charge, finding out the players he wants to keep on. Yes, the league was lost. The league was lost a long time ago, but we could have had something positive for the support to get behind. But as it is, we're just stuttering from poor performance to the odd bad result. And, you know, we've got another couple of months of this before the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, Neil Lennon's been blowing a bubble of confidence over the last 2 weeks. He's been talking up, you know, the job he's doing, the way that Celtic have magically turned it around. But I think anyone who's taken a look at the Celtic matches of late realised that there's still glaring deficiencies in that team. And tonight, Ross County burst the bubble. And I think you're right. I'm not really particularly surprised that we lost the game or dropped more points or whatever. You know, and the great irony is that even before the game, Neil Lennon was still refusing to concede the league title. It was basically put to him on Radio Scotland, and this is what he said, Hamish. This is what he said pre-match. He said, everyone's saying it's a foregone conclusion. Maybe it is, but it's never over until it's over. That's our mindset at the minute, as well as winning the games and playing well. Now, Neil Lennon's always going to say that while he's the manager and while it is mathematically possible. I'm not begrudging him saying that, but it's just a sign that Celtic need a fresh start and they need to be building towards next season. Every Celtic supporter I know and speak to is already looking towards next season. The only people who aren't are Celtic and the manager and the players, and that's a real problem for me.
Yes, I should say it's obviously really, really busy in the comments. So if you really want to get a question across or whatever, you can use our super chat feature. That's exactly what Plexiplox has done. Congrats to Yogi on a good victory. I can't even say anything sarcastic to take gutted. Celtic, I love you, but you're bringing me down. Listen, sums it up for me. When was the last time any of us looked forward to a Celtic game? When was the last time any of us actually enjoyed watching Celtic? And there seems to be an admission now and a feeling that we're just going to have this between now and the end of the season, and it's almost accepted now from the support. It's going to be Lennon until the end of the season, and who knows, maybe further to that. But I don't think it should be that way. After the horrors that we've had to put up with this season, you know, tonight's a bad result, but it's probably not even in our top five this season, which says a lot. We're still having to put up with this turgid performances, and nothing is happening. So Yeah, as I said at the start, John, I'm kind of out of things to say. The anger's no longer there for me. I'm no longer
Hmm.
really angry. I'll admit that I actually had a wee chuckle when Ross County scored. Now I know I probably shouldn't be admitting to that, but the season has just gone so daft that it was possibly the most predictable thing ever. And we've got games to come now. Thankfully, we've not got too many between now and the end of the season, but it's just going to be more of the same. Pointless question to you: is there any question about Neil Lennon's future now? Will anything happen? Probably not.
I don't know. Celtic are a law unto themselves. It's difficult enough to predict what they're doing when things are going well, never mind when it's not going well. But I think it's interesting tonight. I mean, if you bookend this season, there was question marks about Lennon's job earlier in the season. And, Dermot Desmond was questioned about it after the Ross County game when we beat them 5-0 at the same stadium. And Dermot Desmond in the Athletic, went on a bit of a rant about how that performance wasn't good, even though we won 5-0. So what does he think of that tonight? That's what I would ask Dermot Desmond. What does he think of that tonight? And does he still think Neil Lennon is the best man for the job, even in a caretaker capacity until the end of the season? Because for me, he's a barrier to progress. He's a barrier to any sort of semblance of progress or building towards the summer and next season. And the change is long overdue, and it needs to be done. But, again, like you said, it's not about anger anymore. All we can do is point out how we feel about this situation and hope that Celtic do, because they're act in some manner or communicate in some manner about what they plan to do. That's all anyone's looking for at this stage. We all know that this season is a bust. There's no point in being angry about it. Let's build together for next season, and the club need to involve the fans in that and involve the fans in that communication. That's what everyone's crying out for. That's the main barrier to, that's the main disconnect between the club and the support right now. They're just not including us in the conversation at all. And that's what needs to change.
But there's no signs of it changing at all.
No.
I mean, I hate to be the harbinger of doom, but there is absolutely no signs. The club had an opportunity last week or whenever it was with that mid-season review that we kind of half got. And there was a unrealistic part of me was hoping that they would come out with that and we would see some sort of different approach from the club, because what they've done this season hasn't worked at all. The way they've behaved, blaming everything else, I hoped there would be a little bit of contrition and admittance that they'd got things wrong. And there was just none of that at all. And they still used the COVID excuse. There was still, I think, other than one wee sentence that said clearly this season hasn't been good enough and we don't shy away from that.
But they do at every opportunity.
Yeah.
Neil Lennon, at every opportunity, has shied away from taking any responsibility for this season. And that, we can't let the club forget that every error we've made this season almost every error has been self-inflicted. We've got nothing to cry or complain about this season in my book. Everything that we've done could have been avoided in some sort of way. Perhaps the only thing we were unlucky about as a club itself was the Bolingoli incident. He seemed to go off on a flyer on his own. But even that said a lot about the discipline at the club within the squad. So it's all a joke. The club playing some sort of victim card here is ridiculous. Neil Lennon played that as ridiculous. The club need to face up to what they've done wrong this season. They need to face up to their responsibilities as the people who are supposed to be leading Celtic forward. And they need to tell the support what's going to happen right now, because they're really, really at major risk of turning the support completely off and harming our chances of doing anything next season as well, because that will have a financial impact on the club.
There's still about a quarter of the season to go in terms of league matches. So, as I say, there's that feeling that the season is over, and to a certain extent it is, but there's that feeling that the Celtic support just have to put up with Neil Lennon to the end of the season. But it doesn't have to be like that. There's still a number of games to go for the rest of the season where they could get a new manager in, or even a caretaker manager. And I know John Kennedy isn't everyone's cup of tea, but would John Kennedy in charge be better than what we've got at the moment? Yes, it would for me. It would give us something it would give the team a fresh start between now and the end of the season. It would mean we weren't quite dreading every single match like we are at the moment. They have still got an opportunity to change, not to change the destiny of the league title, not to change anything really meaningful in terms of results, but just to lift the the massive grey cloud that's above Celtic Park at the moment, and that grey cloud is Neil Lennon, because every single time you see something from the club, whether it's a press conference or a team lineup or the match itself, you're just automatically put into that negative mindset because of what's fallen and the feelings towards Neil Lennon. The club could still lift that this week if they wanted to act and they wanted to come to the end of their review, if they haven't already, and they could say, right, it's over now, we're going to give you something else to the end of the season, something just so you can get some sort of, not even excitement, some sort of optimism, just lift the gloom a little bit. But I just don't feel they're going to do it. I just feel they've doubled and tripled and quadrupled down, and now we're just stuck with this, and we're going to get more and more bad results. I mean, people have kind of got this in their head, John, that we're going to play Rangers in what is now a month or something, and people have got it in their head that for some reason this Celtic team's going to turn up and get a result against Rangers and lay a marker down for next season. Not a chance. That Celtic team, Rangers are coming to Parkhead and beating us, and I know a lot of people watching this won't like to hear that, but that's what's going to happen, because this Celtic team's chucked it.
I mean, they've chucked it a long time. I mean, the season's been over for a month, Hamish. I mean, this isn't something we've not been saying on the channel, and at times we take flack from that because people want us to talk positively in the positive and optimistic parts of Celtic right now, but there really is not many, and so we can't be dishonest and say that we're feeling hopeful about the team and we think they've turned a corner, because even on that 5-game winning run, I felt Celtic were creaking along at times. That's the reality. And you're right, any team coming to Celtic Park right now who is half decent and has a bit about them is coming to win. Ross County played that game tonight to win the game. They didn't shut up shop and play for a 0-0. They they created a couple of chances. Scott Bain made a good save in the first half. Celtic had their chances as well. But at the end of the day, they're the one who took their big chance. We missed a number of them. And so any team playing Celtic, whether it's Rangers or Ross County at the moment, are coming or hosting us looking to pick up 3 points. And that's the sad reality, and that's why we need change.
There's just no fear there at all from any team that's coming up against Celtic anymore. And I say it all the time, but it's remarkable to me how one man has managed to turn the most all-conquering Celtic team I've ever seen in my lifetime, the best Celtic team I have seen in my lifetime in terms of Brendan Rodgers winning everything, into this complete joke team that for me now is the worst Celtic team I've ever seen. I think this team is far worse than the Tony Mowbray team. The consistent nature of the bad results, and it's remarkable to me that Neil Lennon has managed to oversee such a regression in performance. And his legacy, we can have a conversation about that further down the line, but for me it's shattered. It's completely. It's
not
shattered.
Just Neil Lennon though. It's not just one man. That's the problem. If it was just Neil Lennon, everything would be easily fixed at Celtic, because if we just get rid of him and a new manager will come in and make everything okay again. That's not what's going to happen though, Hamish. There's serious failings at multiple levels of the club. From the dressing room, players in the dressing room, to the culture of Lennoxtown, to Neil Lennon, to the recruitment team headed by Nick Hammond, to beyond that into the board. The communications department's a shambles. The executive team are an absolute shambles. Peter Lawwell's been a shambles over the last 2 years, the way that he appointed Lennon without doing his due diligence on other candidates. So it'd be brilliant for me to say this was all down to one man, this regression. Our problem is that this regression has been club-wide, and Neil Lennon is the face of that at the moment and needs to go. But unfortunately, he's not the only problem at Celtic at the moment.
Positive news is, John, that we've only got 8 games to go this season. Hopefully the Scottish Cup is nowhere near being played, because I can't really be bothered going through more of those games. Daft question a night like this, but any positives for you?
No, not really. There's no point in lying. We need to forget about that game and move on. Big things need to happen at the club, and the longer we stall and get bogged down in these meaningless rubber matches between now and the end of the season, not great.
Right, John, I appreciate your time anyway. Enjoy the rest of whatever Sunday is left, and remember, everyone, you can read more about the latest goings on at Celtic at 67hailhail.com. We've got a forum as well, that's forum.67hailhail.com. If you're watching this video and you've not yet subscribed to the channel, please give that a go. Make the end of my weekend for me. We're back from tomorrow with more content. There's loads to chat about and we will do just that. Take care everyone, and hail hail.